and welcome into my latest live stream. And today it is the 30th of April. I don't have any video. There I am. It's the 30th of April 2023. My name is CareyHolzman, and thank you guys so much for joining. These videos are live, if you were wondering why that happened. And we shoot everything in one take, unscripted. It is what it is. If you like reality, well, welcome to reality. In the past, this last week or so, I built this machine, what I call the hot dog build. And the idea behind the hot dog build is that many people will buy the cheapest parts necessary, but then overspend on parts that aren't necessary. So for example, anything RGB. RGB is just lights. Like generally speaking, I buy lights when I want light, and I buy a computer when I want a computer. I'm not looking for a Swiss Army computer. So parts with RGB, they cost more. They cost more because they cost more to manufacture, but they cost more because they're unnecessary, and it's an indulgence. So indulgence, there's not a real big price war for indulgence. I wonder why. So what I did is, I spent as much for this case, $150 for this computer case, because of the way it looks, and then spent $150 on the board and CPU together, which is just non-supported, no warranty, proprietary, flaky. And then I threw a capture card in here so I could try streaming with it, which I did yesterday just to run a test. And it streamed for over 3 hours without a problem, but now it won't boot again. So this is like a never-ending battle to keep a system like this up and running. So the goal here was to spend more on things that don't matter and spend less on things that do, because this is what I see the general public do all the time. They're shopping for book covers, but they've not written the book. So the book cover should be the last thing on your mind if you care about performance, reliability, security, etc. And so when I bought the case, I honestly wasn't expecting it to be as nice as it is. For what it is, it's a decent case. It's okay. When I bought the power supply, I bought it primarily because it was the cheapest white power supply I could find, and it was modular. And I want to hide the cables, figuring this case probably didn't have much in the way of good cable management. So I'm okay with the case. I'm okay with the power supply. The cooler I bought because it's made by the same company that makes the case. So I'm shopping for aesthetic value, not for true value. Not for value in performance, not for value in reliability, not for value in support. You don't usually get or require support for a case or a CPU fan or cooler. Because the case and the CPU cooler are made by the same company, they match really well. So it's all about how it looks. Doesn't really matter how it performs. And you know, putting that cooler on was way more complicated than it needed to be. The instructions were not very good. Luckily, I have enough experience that I could figure it out, but I think without the experience, I would have been guessing and likely would have installed it wrong. And since when you plug the fan in, it spins, how would you know you installed it wrong? How would you know? You'd say, well, maybe the CPU gets too hot. Well, the CPU might still get too hot anyway. We're not buying it for quality, we're buying it for looks. So anyway, I started thinking about this. Yes, it did the stream okay, but it doesn't shut down anymore. It says it's shutting down. The screen goes black and the system just stays running, and you have to manually power it off. And then when you go to boot it up, it says Windows wasn't shut down correctly. Click here to scan your hard drive for errors, and it's just stupid. It's really, really stupid. So I thought, we could turn this hot dog into a gourmet hot dog. If we simply change the motherboard, which means we have to also change the CPU, throw some RGB RAM on it, and let's get a name brand solid state drive in there. Even if it's not the highest of name brands like ADATA, it's still going to have warranty and support, which we're not going to get from the solid state drive in this machine. Then of course we can add a graphics card, and we'll have many more expansion ports. This board really only has one slot. There is a PCIe by 1, but I don't have any cards that are by 1. I need at least a by 4 for the capture card. So As far as I'm concerned, this board has one slot in it. You can use it for a GPU, or in my case, I had to use it for the capture card using the onboard graphics. The onboard graphics are not compatible with the latest Intel drivers, and Windows Update always wants to replace your video driver to the latest one. And there is a complicated and technical way to prevent that, but it's not just clicking a mouse and saying, don't remind me on this. It'll just keep doing it over and over unless you change that policy. So it's a lot of work to save a few dollars. But the good news is, I think the power supply, the CPU fan, and the case are going to be just fine on a, let's say, 13600K CPU. I mean, let's try it and see what happens. What do you think? So are we fixing this or are we gutting it? I don't know. When you go into surgery to remove a cancerous tumor, are they fixing you or are they gutting you? We're just going to take the tumor out. So that's the goal for today's video. Welcome in all my friendly, I was going to say faces. I don't want to say faces. All the names in blue, all the moderators, all the members, welcome in. I have put on subscriber mode, which means that if you want to participate in the chat, you need to hit the subscribe button if you have not done so already. After yesterday's test run, just a lot of abusers. And I figure if I'm going to get an abuse, I'm going to get a subscription out of it. So yeah, I might just leave it on like that. Everybody can see and hear me okay? I'm hoping. I haven't tested anything on the streaming computer. The cables are labeled and I just plugged them back into their associated ports, and in theory everything should still run. I see the audio's moving up and down, so I assume people can see and hear me okay. Don Beverly says 5x5. Awesome. As does Glenn's Music. Thank you guys. All right, let me just scroll through here. Scroll through, and oh, we have some people that joined us early. Jim KJ3N was right in there raring to go. Eric Lopez has jumped in early, as did Paul Garrett. Panagiotis Grammatopoulos says good morning from Greece. Randolph Slavin says hello from the UK. There's William Dawson saying hello, and Edgar Odondo says hello, and Vern Mahorny, and Josh Kinder, Alej DePej, Sarge Tech joining us, and Gary Tatum, Kevin Crowley, Mark Gaines saying hello in the chat. Welcome in, Mark. LRCX joining us from California. Jason Thomas says hello. Matthew Burden saying hello. Jason Thomas, Bebo, Construction, Luke Slater, Arnold Elbert, Danny56, Eddie Casanova, Ramon Vera joins us. Welcome in. Mats Olof watching us from Sweden says hello. There's Patrick Russell joining us from New York, as well as Channel Zero. Channel Zero says send it to Steve at Gamers Nexus. He likes to pull apart pre-built systems. I think him doing that would give us all a good laugh. Oh, I got something better than that. When I was working as a spokesperson for Newegg, I covered the Consumer Electronics Show a few years ago. And while I was there, MSI was showing off this round gaming computer about this big. It had dual GTX 960s in it. And it was called a Vortex because of the way it had one single fan, and it blew the air up through the middle of this cylindrical computer, pre-built computer. And it was whisper quiet, and there were no other fans. No fan for the power supply, no fan, just this one, and everything got air from this one fan. Well, I've been really enjoying the content from a YouTube channel called Dawood Does Tech Stuff. And I wrote into Dawood, and I said, hey, there's this MSI Vortex that's available on eBay for $649. Now, I know he's in Canada, and there's going to be some shipping expense there. And I don't think there's going to be any import fees, but I'm not sure. But I said, what if I buy this and have it sent to you? Would you take it apart? Because I would like to watch him. When he takes this apart, he's probably going to break it. And he said, well, that's a nice offer, but are you the seller of it? I guess is what he was. I said, no, I'm not the seller. I just happened to be on eBay and I saw it. And so, ever since I saw it at CES, I've wanted to get my hands on one and rip it apart. But Dawood does such a good job at that. He's really funny. It's worth it to me for the entertainment to send it to him. And he said, no, that's okay. We'll buy it. I mean, because we'll probably break it. And I said, no, I want you to break it. I don't want it. I said, I'll tell you what, because I want to support what you do. If you get that, I'll pay half of whatever it costs you, because I know there's going to be more shipping than it would normally be. And long story short, hopefully, I don't know how long the shipping takes, but hopefully over there on Dawood's channel, we'll get to see the MSI Vortex teardown. And I think that is going to be much more entertaining. When Steve over at Gamers Nexus does it, he's really analytical and technical. When Dawood does it, he's got more of an average perspective, like not necessarily a technical perspective, more of a common perspective. So I just think that's going to be a lot of fun and worth every penny it costs me. I already know it will be, and I'll let you know when it gets posted. Or you can subscribe over to Dawood's. Dawood Does Tech Stuff is the name of the channel, if you're not already subscribed to him. He's very funny. Scott Helenen contributes $5.50 in New Zealand money. What's your money called over there in New Zealand? Does it have a name? He says, hello, Carey. Great to see another live stream. Hope all is well. Here's some money for a Coke or a hot dog. Hey, I think for $5.50, I can get a Coke and a hot dog at Costco. Thank you, Scott. Frank Jimmy's saying hello in the chat. Yeah, so anyway, let's turn this on. Let's see if it'll even turn on. A lot of people were under the impression that because this carried the live stream for the entire time without crashing, that it works. It sometimes works. That's the problem. It doesn't work consistently. So just to demonstrate, I shut this off yesterday after the live stream, and I have not turned it back on. I don't know what it's going to do, but I suspect it's going to say Windows didn't start correctly, and it's going to want to do a repair. So let me step around and start plugging some things in, and if you want, we can run a speed test on that solid state drive before we tear this whole thing apart. And let's see, we'll give it some power, and we'll give it plugged into the video capture card here. Not this video capture card, but that one. Keyboard and mouse I left plugged in from yesterday. I don't think we need internet access on it. Wouldn't hurt to have it, but I don't see any reason to put it on there. And let's turn it on and see what it does. First of all, though, let me go over to my HDMI input, which is right here. And then I will put myself, let's just say right about there. And then hit the power button. I guess I have to flip the switch on. Then I'll hit the power button. Did it turn on? Oh, yeah, there's that 4-second delay that always throws me. And then let's see if it boots into Windows. Every time you boot it, you just don't know. Maybe it'll boot into Windows. Maybe we'll get an error. If you enjoy living like that, always wondering what the next day is going to bring, hey, AliExpress is the place for you to shop. Hey, it booted into Windows without a problem. That's a good surprise. Now let's pull up the utilities flash drive and copy over the Crystal Disk Mark software. Let's see here, I gotta go full screen on the HDMI input. And that means I did hook up all the cables correctly, which is good. Back over to the original streamer. And let's go to, oops, I didn't want to bring that up. I want to go to the yellow folder. I want to go to the utilities flash drive under PC testing software, and we're going to copy over Crystal Disk Mark Portable. Drag that over there. Okay, and then we don't need the flash drive anymore. I'll set that aside so I don't accidentally run the speed test on the flash drive. And it will bring up the 64-bit version of Crystal Disk Mark Portable here. And then, let me just move this over. I'll hit the all button and we'll see what kind of numbers we're gonna get out of this. In the meantime, after this, I'll take the case panel off. I'm gonna disconnect all the wires on the motherboard, unscrew the motherboard, and I'm gonna take the heat sink and fan, well, the heat sink for the CPU, that's gotta come off because we're gonna reuse it onto a different motherboard we're gonna put in here. And I thought, why not find one of the biggest motherboards I've got? I did not know this case was going to be this big, so why not take advantage of it? So we'll put in a gigabyte, what do I have here? A Z690 Aorus board, full-size ATX, which already has a Scythe Mugen 5 on it. We're gonna take the Scythe Mugen 5 off. We're gonna take this cooler off. We're gonna put this cooler onto the 13600K. We'll see if it cools. Jacob Smith says, I'm liking the case, everything else is garbage. You know, the power supply may not be too bad, really. May not be. Luke wants to know, will yesterday's stream be uploaded on your channel? No, that was just a test stream. It wasn't anything to save. It was just, there's nothing, you didn't miss anything. Scott says, hello, Carey and Mara. Hey, Scott, welcome in.
Hi.
Frank Jimmy says, send that motherboard to the island of misfit motherboards. Even among misfits, you're misfits. I don't know, I think it fit okay. Sarge Tech says that case would look nice in black. Kevin Smith, you're not using the Elgato in your main streamer? No, I went back to the Magewell card because the Elgato is defaulting to 4K every time I plug a computer in. It auto-senses 4K on like a new install of Windows. And then because the screen is a distance away, at 1080 it's hard for me to read. At 4K it's almost impossible. And then to change the resolution on a 4K window, trying to look at the little teeny tiny numbers that show all the different resolutions to pick 1920 by 1080 gets really annoying. So for right now and for the present, I'll be using the Magewell cards because they're locked in. They don't do 4K. They're 1080 only. So when I plug a computer in, it senses what it thinks is a monitor that can only handle 1080, and then the desktop defaults at 1080. And it's that reason and that reason alone. The Elgato card is a better card in many ways, especially if you're going to do live streaming do anything on the internet. If you're actually into making real films or real movies, you want the Magewell card because its bit rate is much, much higher. But it wouldn't matter here on YouTube because YouTube, any sort of streaming, any kind of media through the internet is going to compress the heck out of it. So all those extra bits just go out to the trash can. It's a waste of bandwidth. But I do have the Elgatos and I have Magewells, and I use them both. It just kind of depends on where I'm at and which system I'm using. But yeah, that's why. And the Elgato card's $169. The Magewell card is $900. So yeah, how is that even possible that you can get a card that does 4K? It has the same number of ports, and it's whisper quiet, whereas the Magewells can get a little noisy from time to time. And it's a fraction of the price. Bizarre. Also, the Magewell requires you download drivers and install them yourself. The Elgato card, you plug it in and it just auto loads, Windows loads the drivers for you. You don't have to install any drivers. So. And yeah, looking at our numbers there, so about 5,100 megabytes per second on the reads sequentially, and almost 4,400 on the writes. You know, those numbers aren't terrible. Proper Gen 4 performance level drive like Western Digital's 850X, that'll run 7,000 plus 7,200 on the reads, and I think 5,000 to 6,000 on the writes. But it's also more money, and it's also larger. Bigger solid state drives are faster. than the same make and model of solid state drive, same manufacturer, but smaller. The drive that's smaller will run slower if everything else is the same. Larger SSDs, larger capacity SSDs run faster, but not necessarily faster than anything, just that same manufacturer putting the same controller on, using the same technology, simply increasing capacity, increase the performance. That's just a general rule of how solid state drives work. Alash says, how about Intel driver and support assistant? Do you think there will be any driver update? Oh, that's a fair question. I never even thought of that. We could throw it on here because I bet you Intel doesn't want this motherboard to be used by the public. And I wouldn't be surprised if the Intel driver support assistant said, you don't have anything that we support. Like, I don't recognize any of this. But that's a good idea. Let's see what happens. I'm kind of curious myself. Will Intel acknowledge this is their product? I don't think they will. But I've been wrong before. So we'll plug it in to the internet. And this is something quick. You know, we can do this pretty quickly. Let me go full screen over here. Yeah, there's our numbers. And we'll bring up Edge. And we want the Microsoft Driver Update Assistant. No, that is not what I wanted. That's an advertisement. I wasn't paying attention. Oh, because I typed Microsoft. I meant to type Intel. This big computer's in my way. Can't see around it. All right, let's try this again. There, that one's going to Intel. That's not the site I wanted. Let's keep going. Intel driver and support assistant, third time's the charm. Download now. All right, so now that we've downloaded it, we'll open that file. Agree to the license agreement. Decline the reporting back anonymous statistics. Close that window out. And I'll close that window out. We don't need that anymore. Larry in California says the new 980 Samsung 980 Pro NVMe drive he bought is slower than the 970 Evo Plus he had, but it boots a bit faster. Interesting. Jason Erbank says, I think the Magewell capture devices are better than Elgato because Magewell devices use a hardware EDID emulator that helps it be more compatible with video devices than Elgato. Like I said, if you're a professional, you want the Magewell. But for, you know, a content creator here on YouTube, and it's overkill. You don't need it. In many ways, it's the right tool for the job, right? So where the Elgato may fall short in professional video production, the Magewell falls short in any sort of enhancement it offers to a content creator or vlogger just on price alone, right? I could buy 5 of those Elgatos for the price of one Magewell and be able to broadcast in 4K, which I cannot do on that Magewell. If you want to broadcast in 4K on a Magewell, you need to spend about $2,000. They make it. It's really expensive. I forgot how much it is, though. It's not $2,000, but it's like close. A Cases also has one. That's a 4-port HDMI, and it's a low-profile card, and those I think are about $1,200 to $1,800. So again, that Elgato 4-port, that 4 HDMI port capture card at $169.99 is a steal. All right, this wants to restart, so let's see what happens. Let's see if this will restart without crashing. VR wants to know, does having a good GPU benefit your live streams? No. If I was gaming and live streaming on the same system at the same time, then yes, but just a talking head, absolutely not. Video card is irrelevant for what I do. It looks like we're booting up again. That's good. And wait down here for this corner to start propagating items. There. Oh, I do have a red dot. It's seeing something. Let's see what it says. It wants to update the video driver. Oh, let's do that. What do you think is going to happen? What do you think will happen if I update the video driver? Let's find out. I wonder if it's going to blue screen and completely crash the system. Getting the real driver from the actual manufacturer. Martin says you're living dangerously. Well, it's a hot dog, you know, so what do I care? We're here to teach, and I thought, you know, I can talk until I'm blue in the face, and I have, but I would rather show you, and in that way we can share that experience together, and then you can come to your own conclusion. People are more willing to embrace their own ideas than those of others, so if I can help lead people to their own conclusion rather than tell them the conclusion, they don't have to be skeptical and wonder if what I'm saying is accurate, and they don't have to feel like they're being submissive or somehow beta by listening to what somebody else says. There are people like that, a lot of them on the internet, at least a lot of the vocal ones can be that way. So this way there's less resistance to the acceptance of information in my experience, and so we'll do it that way. It's also more fun. Don Beverly has become a supporter. Hey Don, welcome to the Tech Club. As a reminder, we always do members-only videos on Mondays at 1 o'clock. I have to go to a doctor's appointment Monday at 1 o'clock, but when I get back, I will do the members-only broadcast. It'll be the first time I've had to vary the time on that, but it will start later than normal for that reason. What information does it tell us about this motherboard? Anything? It's an Intel HM570. Well, that's how it's advertised on AliExpress. The genuine Intel CPU 0000 at 1.8 gigahertz. Intel HD graphics. Audio. Camlink Pro, that's the Elgato capture card that's in there. Realtek Gigabit LAN, 32 gigs of RAM, and that's the storage drive, the ERYING NVMe 4.0 1 terabyte. I also went to VIP CDK deals and bought a Windows 10 license. Windows 11 licenses cost more. So I simply bought a Windows 10 Pro license from VIP CDK deals for $16 and used that to activate Windows 11 on this build. And it activated just like it was a Windows 11 product key. Super easy. So if you have a choice between buying if you want to activate Windows 11, you do not have to pay for a Windows 11 key. You can use a Windows 7, Windows 8, or Windows 10 key, but it must be for the same version of Windows. So in other words, Windows Home, Windows 7 Home will activate Windows 10 Home, Windows 8 Home. Was there a Windows 8 Home? And then Windows 10 and 11 Home. If you're installing the Pro version and you want to reuse a product key that's for a home version, the home version product key only activates home versions of Microsoft operating systems that are currently being supported. So I always use Windows Pro because the price difference, you know, if you look at VIP CDK deals and look at the price difference between Home and Pro, it's like $2 or $3 difference. So I just get the Pro and keep everything the same. And then I don't have to wonder or worry about when customers call for support, which operating system they're using. It's enough to just figure out if they're using Windows 10 or 11. Glenn's Music said, I'm sad to miss the member videos at 6 a.m. local time and I just can't be so alert. Well, that's the beauty of YouTube, though, is that you can watch them anytime you want. Once, you know, just whether or not you're there in the live, but at least it'll be there. LRCX says, are there any settings in the BIOS that could be adjusted to help the 980 Pro drive performance? Not that I'm aware of, no. What motherboard are you plugging that into, Larry? Is that a Generation 3 motherboard? Because the 980 is a Gen 4 drive. So if you plug in a Generation 4 drive, it is backwards compatible. Like I can take a USB type, I can take a USB 3.0 flash drive and plug it into a USB 2.0 slot, and it's going to run at USB 2.0 speeds. Right? And so the NVMe drives work the same. If you have a Generation 4 NVMe and you plug that into a Generation 3 slot, then you're going to get Generation 3 speeds. So check to see if your motherboard does support Gen 4, and if it does, make sure you're in that slot. If you have more than one slot and you're not sure, move it to a different slot and retest. Okay, here we go. I'm going to hit install and see if this thing just bursts into flames. Glenn's Music said, it would be better to participate. How can you survive without my interaction is unfathomable. I know. We procrastinate and postpone the show waiting for you. And then it's like, well, we're going to have to, you know, march on without him and leave you behind. We don't like to leave people behind, but yeah, we do manage to get by. It's certainly not as enjoyable without you there. All right, now, I really don't think this is going to be happy with this update, but let's find out. I'm going to take it apart anyway, so. Let's see. BH Ringer posted a link to Dawid Does Tech Stuff. Right on. Thank you for posting that link. You know, that video could be a month away before, you know, he receives it and has time to put it in his schedule, but you heard it here first. It's going to be worth the wait. I can't wait to see him tear that thing down. Okay, installation's complete. Reboot recommended. Here we go. Okay, place your bets, ladies and gentlemen. Around and round the wheel goes. Are we going to boot to Windows Desktop, or are we going to get a blue screen? Will it reboot? Place your bets, everybody. Place your bets. And it seems to have frozen prior to booting, but let's just give it a minute. Give it a chance. We'll give it a chance. Round and round the wheel goes. Where it stops, nobody knows. Or it is stopped. I don't know what's going on right now. It is frozen solid. Hey, you know what? It's perhaps resting after a particularly long squawk. Alhaj says, computer says no. How long should I wait before I give it the old boot, the reboot? Oh, it's perfectly fine. It's resting. That's just hibernation mode. Try it again in 6 months. See, because bears hibernate for, never mind. I'm gonna hit the power button. Well, that's not shutting it off. I'll hold the power button in. We'll just sit here and hold this in. Okay, now it's off. Now I'll push and release the power button. Wait 4 seconds. Okay. Try again. push and release. Okay, power lights come back on. Okay, no more bets. No more bets. Let's see what happens. Not off to a very confident start. Oh, it says crying. ERYING. Oh. Look at that. I mean, so what if it didn't shut down? It starts just fine. Now, did it install the driver? Let's go back over to the Intel Driver Update Assistant. So this ARC control tool drives me crazy, which if you download your driver from Intel, you're going to get this even if you don't have an ARC card. So what I'll do is I'll go into the control panel, or the settings is what they call it here, and then I'll go over to apps. Where are my apps? Hold on, I gotta make this bigger. Multitasking activation. Yeah, we're activated, right? If I click on this, doesn't it say we're activated? Yeah, we're active. Oh, there's apps. Installed apps, and then I'm going to look for the Intel ARC control. Click the three dots, uninstall that. Okay, we're going to uninstall the ARC control. That leaves the Intel video driver on. It just takes that stupid ARC controlled software out. Now, if I had an Intel ARC GPU, I would want that. But yeah, that's fine. And let's restart one more time. Let's see, is it going to shut down? That looks a little better. It's kind of doing what it's supposed to do. I just don't know from boot to boot what's going to happen. Computer will definitely keep you on your toes, hence the reason to have boots. George Mariano says, hello, Mr. Holzman. Hey, George. No T in my name, but yes, hi, George. Captain Blinsky says, dark theme is one of the best things to happen to the user's GUI experience. I hate the dark theme. Not a fan, but to each his own. I brought up Microsoft Word, and I didn't realize I was in dark mode, and my background was black and my text was white. Just the way it prints out on the page. Oh wait, no, on the page, last I checked, paper is white, and the ideas were emulating paper, at least in Microsoft Word. So that was quite disturbing. But to each their own. If you like dark mode, enjoy it. For me personally, you know, I've been working with computers since, well, most people, since the early 1980s, 1980, 1981. And, you know, back then it was dark mode back then, right? Because you had sort of a screen when you powered it on, you'd have green or amber text, and there was no color other than that one color, and on a black background. So in a way, it's kind of going back, you know, getting us back to the black backgrounds. But it's nice that people have options, and I'm always a fan of that. So this is clearly not going to reboot. So I'm going to hold the power button in again. I've waited long enough. And turn it back on here. Here we go. Let's see what happens. Sarge Tech says, back to my Wang computer days. Yeah, I remember Wang computers. Okay, now we're booting. And then we'll go back over to the Intel Driver Update Assistant and see if it thinks everything's happy now. Yeah, it's got a green dot. Let's refresh the page. And it says it's all happy, I guess. The folks at ERYING have a download page for drivers. So when you do a fresh install of Windows on one of these machines, and it's true of the mini PCs as well, if you don't check your device manager, you'll probably not realize you're missing a bunch of things. But as you can see here, everything in the device manager is recognized, and there's no unknown devices. And that's because I downloaded the drivers from ERYING. And it's really just the I/O drivers and the chipset drivers, the HM570 drivers. That fills in everything. There's a bunch of other drivers, like an Intel video driver, a sound card driver, a network card driver. You don't need any of that stuff. You just need the I/O driver and the chipset driver from ERYING. They also have a BIOS download and utility available, but the BIOS version is the same version we have. There are no previous versions, and nor will there be any future versions. So I don't know why they provide that, but it is there. Okay, so that was interesting. I'm actually surprised that Intel is acknowledging that board. Now let's shut this down. It likely will not shut down. Let's see what it does. It says no signal. The power light is still on. Power light is still on. Yeah, this is not going to shut down. And this has been a problem I keep having over and over again with this motherboard. So, you know, if you want to buy one of these boards and endure that sort of madness, you know, have at it. It'll keep you busy, give you something to do on a daily basis. But if you have other things going on in your life, I'd strongly recommend you stick with name brand parts. Let me now take this apart. I don't think we need any more testing on this. I think we've gleaned all we can glean. So we'll get things unplugged here. Give me my keyboard and mouse dongle there. And I'll tuck that away over here. And then, let's see. We'll open up the side panel and just lift that off and set it over here. And I want to take my capture card out. Got it. Those are my bodacious cat-like reflexes, or BCLRs. There's the Elgato CamLink Pro. Let me put this away because that's a very important part that I will need in the future. So I will put it where I can find it and where it won't get knocked over or have anything spilled on it. And let's see, what else can I take apart? We can unplug all these cables. So let's do that now. I think I can leave that plugged in because it's plugged in back behind the board, and then we can take these screws out of here. So we'll take out, we better start at the bottom so the board doesn't start to fall out and crack in half or something. 1, 2, 3. 4, 5, and our last one. And nothing's holding this board in. None of these standoffs have a little peg. So as soon as I take that last screw out, I expect the motherboard to fall. So I'll just hold it by the heatsink. Yep, there it is. Oh, I forgot the heatsink plugs into the power supply. So I know some of you looked at that and said that was really nice cable management. But here's the thing, you were being tricked. Just like you might think that hot dog looks healthy. Here's what the cable management really looks like. It's all show and no go. So let's see if we want to unplug the CPU cooler. That should be this one right here. Oh, oops. Motherboard fall go boom. Pick up boom boom here. Oh, that's our RGB cable. It's also still connected. There we go. There we go. Look at me. Look at me go. All right, now I know these are going to have to move, but I'm not sure until I look at the board. Where do they go? 1, 2, 3. Oh, I need a lot more standoffs. A lot more. Let me see. This is a big motherboard, but it's a big case, so they should go together. So we'll take that one and we'll move it over here. And we'll take this one over here. And we'll move it all the way to the bottom down here. I'm gonna need 9 of these total. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So that explains why there are extras that we did not use the other day. Extra standoffs. Trying to figure out how I'm going to get my fingers in there. There we go. And we need this I/O shield removed because that's going to stay with, all I/O shields stay with the board. And let's see, where else do I need one? I need 2 more at the bottom and 1 more at the top. I thought they only gave us 2 extras. We're getting 3. Oh, there are 3 extra. Good, good. Well, now you know why the case is $150. Let's see. So we're going to put 1 right up here in this corner. And I need 2 more for the bottom. So here's 1. And here's 2. And that's all they give you. So that's exactly how many we're going to need. There. And roll that up. And then the last one, I think, goes here. Oops. It's twice I've done that now. last one's going to go right down there. Okay, now we have 9 standoffs. They're in the standard ATX position, which I believe is what this Gigabyte board is going to want, but I'll move them if I have to. I'm trying to think ahead. Sometimes that works better out when I don't think, and other times I can be regretful whether I do it, or I can be regretful whether I don't. Which regret do I want? Take your pick. Wesley says it's 12:47 a.m. in the Netherlands. Hey, Wesley, welcome in. Happy Sunday. Today is Sunday, isn't it? Frank Jimmy said, is it a coincidence that you're wearing a red parrot, dead parrot shirt today? Hello, Polly. Wakey, wakey. All right, I got to get this cooler off of here. So, man, we'll use the screwdriver that it came with. So this top piece has to come off. $6 million man or the $6 million computer. Either way, we can rebuild it. We have the technology. Okay. So close. Will you grab me a paper towel? Thank you. I just don't want that to get everywhere, so I just want to get it cleaned off now before it ends up all over my shirt and my hands. That stuff is hard to wash out or to wash off your hands. It can stay on there for days. So just try and get as much of that off of there as reasonable. And yeah, we're going to reuse this heatsink. So that means I got to take off the mounting mechanism, which should be a lot easier than putting it on was. Zero Core says, at least now I know what these boards are really like. Well, that was the point of the video. The point of the video was to demonstrate why you should not buy one of these. Let me rephrase. I don't know what you should do. The point of this video was to help you decide. Well, not this video, but the video that led us to here. Yeah. Hughes wants to know if that's a good or a crap heatsink. I don't know. I really don't know. I don't think Gamers Nexus liked it, but I haven't been able to determine. This motherboard doesn't require much in the way of cooling. It was really purchased to look pretty. That was its main. It's what a lot of consumers do. They're just looking at what's pretty. They don't really care what substance it has. So we'll use it on a 13600K and see if it keeps it cool. But this is the ERYING board, one last time, with the ERYING Gen 4 NVMe drive and the ERYING branded RAM. And then it's a little laptop CPU soldered onto the board there, and there's just a big heatsink covering that up. Yes, I just removed a heatsink from the top of a heatsink. Yeah, what do you want? It's AliExpress. You're expecting something better? Now let's put this away. Let's see, that looks like a good fit. And motherboard. What motherboard are we going to use? Over here, I'll tell you what, let's get this out of the way for a moment. In fact, I'll go put this with the motherboard now that I think about it, because it doesn't need to stay out here. There we go. Look at that. There's just enough room in that trash can for both of those items. Wait, what? Is the microphone on? All right, let's take this and move it out of the way. Put it in my way. But at least it won't be in the viewer's way. And yeah. Here's the board we're using right here. My notes. This is an Intel Core i5-13600K using a Gigabyte Z690 Aorus Elite AX DDR4. Oh, this has Wi-Fi built in. Yep. It's got a 2 terabyte ADATXPGamingCase S7 NVMe drive underneath one of these heat sinks. We've got the Mugen 5 Black Edition. This has to come off. And Windows 10 Pro is installed and activated on here already. So, yeah, let's take the heatsink off. Could reuse this in something else. I wonder if this will work on a Mugen. Oh, and then some. Nice. Will you give me a paper towel, please? Once again, I want to wipe down the thermal compound. Okay, well that gets the bulk of it off, so hopefully I won't leave it all over my hands. And I need to take the plate off of it. Can you give me a small Ziploc bag? We'll keep all these little parts together so I have everything I need to reuse it on another Intel system. Jimmy Johnson with a $10 super chat says, thank you for your work and life lessons. I live in Phoenix too. Right on, Johnny. Thank you for supporting the channel. Are you enjoying our 100-degree weather? I'm not. Put that in there. Put that in there. not ready for close-ups just yet. I want this back plate off of here. So what I'll do is I'll keep this little bag of parts along with put the fan back on, just so I know where it is. Right back on. Okay, and then I'm going to just put this in the other room so it's off of the desk. And I'll use that on a future build for sure, because it's nothing wrong with it. It's brand new. I think it's got like 3 or 4 hours of use on it. Okay. Now we are not going to use this RAM that's installed on here because it's not RGB enough. So we'll take that out and we'll put this Guile Evo Speed RAM over on the parts shelf for another cameo appearance in the future, some other build that I will do at some time, and or who knows, maybe even a repair. Okay, now I can clean the surfaces to get them ready. So I will grab my isopropyl alcohol. That's 99% strength there. And I'll grab my Q-tips. Now, of course, thermal material, the conductivity of the thermal compound, thermal grease, is going to be the most efficient when there is no contamination, so oils from your skin, dust in the air. But, well, that is technically true. The actual difference dust and oils from your skin make when you touch this stuff is a fraction of a fraction of a fraction of a degree. When we talk about and this is a big mistake or an error in judgment that I consider an error in judgment for many content creators who aren't real technicians. They take everything literally. So they think it absolutely has to be perfectly polished. And you know what, if you're trying to reach world records of overclocking greatness, then every fraction of a fraction of a fraction of a degree matters. But if you're literally anybody else, the difference it makes is insignificant. So if you touch your CPU or you touch the bottom of your heat sink and then you don't clean it for whatever reason and you just put thermal, say you wipe it down with a paper towel, put some fresh thermal compound on it, in all likelihood there'll be no difference in your temperature readouts because your temperature readouts likely don't read in tenths of degrees. So, but you can verify that on your own. But I just want you to know. You can run that test yourself. If you're doing something that is absolutely, where fractions of fractions of fractions of 1 degree make a difference, well then, you're doing a different kind of work than what you're seeing people do on YouTube. So, just so you know. Now, it doesn't hurt anything to do it, right? So I'm doing this now because I like to do things the right way, and I want to clean all that old thermal material off of there. But as I mentioned, in reality, it probably makes almost no difference in the practical cooling ability or the thermal transferability of the thermal compound. So don't drive yourself mad trying to make it perfect. It's, the fact that you do it at all is helpful. Very, 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 very slightly helpful. and optional for most people. Okay. Now, I think I'm going to have to move these pieces here to align with the different socket size. So if I move these little pins all the way to the outside edge, this may be a real short ride if this is not socket 1700 compatible. I didn't check. I think it's going to be okay. I think. Oopsie. There's one. There's two. Yeah, and then there's the last one right here. Okay. In theory, anyway, those should be in the right position. Came off. Darn it. There, that one should fit better now. Let's see. There was no point in me rotating that. I just wanted to test the theory. There it goes. Okay. And now flip this back over this way. And we'll grab the standoffs. Paul McIntosh just joined our tech club. Welcome, Paul. Thanks for becoming a supporter of the channel. Appreciate you. Jeremy Hawk says, I've been subbed for 5 years. I've been having a lot of health problems. I wasn't able to catch your live feeds, but I'm glad I could catch this one. Well, welcome back. I'm sorry to hear of your health problems, but hopefully you're here, so that's a good sign. Welcome back. And Dom Long says hello. Just going to use a little extra torque since they were so loose when I took the heatsink off of it. On the other motherboard, this will go on this way. Maybe I should look and see if I can find the vertical riser and put the video card in vertical. Won't be able to do that today though. I'll have to find one that works with this case. But we'll use onboard video for now. So my question now, is this going to fit it okay, or what's the deal here? I think it's going to work. I mean, it's going to be a stormtrooper when we're done with it. It's going to be this white case with a black motherboard, but a white cooler. Yeah, so it'll be that black and white like a stormtrooper. Yeah, I'd say that's going to work. I don't think it's going to get in the way of the RAM. I'm not going to use the RAM socket over here anyway. I'm just going to use the two metal reinforced sockets there since we're going to do one dual channel. Because that'll give us 32 gigs of RAM, which will be more than enough. Okay, so thermal compound time. You want to get the close-up camera? Let's use some ALSEYE thermal compound. Well, you know what? I've got some Noctua thermal compound left over. Yeah, we'll use the scythe. I'm not sure how much is left in each of those tubes, so I'll bring out an extra tube. We've cleaned the CPU surface. We've cleaned the heatsink surface. I need my glove. Okay, let's see here. Oh, let's go to the close-up camera. Let's see if I wired it all. This is the last thing I'm testing to see if I wired correctly. Come on over. There you go. All right, so here we go. Got enough in that tube. How's everybody's Sunday going today? Hopefully better than that ERYING motherboard Sunday's going. It's going to join the Rainbow Bridge, go live on a farm with other ERYING motherboards. Feeling a little generous with the thermal compound today, can you tell? Here. I'll give you the finger. Want to smell it? All right. Then we'll hoist this giant cooler on top. See what I'm doing? Uh-oh. Oh, there it is. Can you see that down there? Come around to this side. Just want to tighten them evenly from side to side. Until the screws don't turn anymore. Looks like we're there. Okay. Thermal compound can get put away. We'll plug the CPU fan in right here. And then we'll grab some of this ridiculously expensive but good memory, Trident Z. And that will go into the slot closest to the CPU first. Thumbs. There's one. Okay, that's our RGB RAM installed. Let me get this I/O shield put back with the motherboard because I will forget that. There we go. Just put that back in the motherboard box. Okay, now this motherboard has a built-in I/O shield, so we don't have to worry about that. And there's a close-up of everything. Oh, I got to put this little lid back on. It goes on top here. Okay. And yeah, now we're ready to install into the case. So I'm going to go back to a wide shot to camera one and give camera girl a break here for a minute. Oh, I got to use the proper mouse. There we are. Okay, you're clear. Thank you. Ah, what are they saying in the chat room here? Am I not using the ERYING RAM? No, there's no RGB on it. So why would I go all out on the case with RGB and then not go all out with RGB on the RAM? That doesn't make any sense. And then why do you think the Mugen 5 came off? Mugen 5 does not have RGB on it, so we'll move the cooler over because it does have RGB. So that way, if we really want to go for the aesthetic, that's fine. We just have to spend more money on quality parts. Trading reliable quality parts in exchange for lights, I think the priority should be the other way around. Get your parts good first. That should be your priority. And if you still have budget left over and you want to replace some of those parts with good parts that have RGB, that would be the way I would recommend you prioritize your parts list. But to each their own. I gotta get the case back up here. Is DDR5 memory backwards compatible with DDR4? No, it is not. Your motherboard must be equipped to handle one or the other. The sockets will have the notch slightly in a different position, so you cannot seat DDR4 RAM into a DDR5 socket. nor can you seat DDR5 RAM into a DDR4 socket. You won't even plug in. So it's a completely different requirement for the RAM. Now, I don't know if I put these standoffs in the right place, so let me just do a little dry fit here, see if it's going to work. Wow, that is way heavier than that ERYING board, I'll tell you that. This is a two-hander. Let's see, where's my... It's got to go the opposite way, Carey. Turn it around this way. This board looks tiny in this case. Why am I not surprised? All right, put that there. Just trying to get the cables that I've left in here out from underneath the board. I don't want to pinch any of them where I can't reach them. And let's see what that's going to look like. Okay, so I ran the USB and front port umbilicals through a hole in the motherboard tray that this motherboard covers up. So I cannot route those cables through that hole. And this big power cable keeps getting in my way, so I'm going to pull that through as well. But now this motherboard power cable, I probably want to put that on before I secure the board in place, because the heatsink may make that very difficult for me to reach. Let's find out. Oh gosh, that's heavy. All right, so let me get that 8-pin CPU power cable in now. Apparently I need my glasses. I need my glasses on. I can't see so good in here. Okay, CPU power is connected. Now, let me just make sure all of these standoffs are in the right place. Got 9 of them. And right now, not a single one of them's lined up, so I have something adjusted incorrectly. Oh, there they are. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, perfect. Perfecto. Bring that torque back down to 3. Gonna need more of these screws. I only have 6 screws because I only had 6 standoffs. Now we need 9. Okay, I think I can tighten these down. 1, 2, 3. Four. 5. 6. I gotta go grab 3 more of those screws. Let's see. Oh, that's in that box, that little plastic container. Let's see, we need 3 more of these. Nope. 1, 2, and 3. There we go. Now I think I can put that away and keep it put away. I hope. Ah, yes. Gourmet hot dog. You think that looks better? It fills in all that empty space, right?
Yeah.
Got cabling everywhere. Hey, does this USB have a does this motherboard have a USB Type-C? It does. Oh, we can use this now. Remember, I couldn't use it on the ERYING board. Okay. There it is. Right there. Let's see, take that, run that, where should that go? It's gonna go through here, I guess. And that'll just plug in right there. And then the power, plug that in while we're here. Let's see, we have our front port audio and USB. Where can I run that? I guess it's going to come in down here by the power supply. That is some USB something. Plug that in there. And the audio connector goes to the far left underbelly of the motherboard. And whoa, our big USB-C. Where are we going to run USB-C? USB-C is right there. Oh, it looks like I got thermal compound on the side of my case. This stuff gets everywhere. C. That one's plugged in. This is USB 3. And this one will plug in there. Okay. And then we have our front port switches and LEDs. I'm going to bring those down here as well. Put them up right through there. Is that going to look right? Sure, why not? Sure, why not? Okay, hard drive LED will go on first, bottom left of all those front panel pins. What's this one? That's the power switch. I'm not ready for that one yet. What's this one? Reset switch. Yeah, the reset switch goes right on beside the hard drive LED I just plugged in. Bottom row. And then power LED. That's going to go just above the hard drive LED with the positive cable to the far left on the top row of pins. And then finally, last but not least, is reset. And that plugs in right next to the power LED we just plugged in, and right above the reset switch. Power switch and reset switch, one goes above the other. Okay. Pretty good. Pretty good. Okay. RGB into RGB. Wait, what? Oh. I see. I need to run these cables to the back, don't I? These all have to run to the back. So I need to run this one through here. And I need to run that one through here. And I need to run that one through there. Just push all those through. There you go. All right, so now this one will plug into this one. This needs power, so we'll just plug it in down here for now. And then that rear case fan, it wants power too. Do we have power up here? Uh-oh. Well, you know what? We can use this as our CPU optional fan head. We're using that. Yeah, sure. Works for me. I'm good with it. Okay. I don't know. Should we blow it? I mean, turn it on? I never finished putting these screws in, though, did I? Middle screw is covered by the SSD heatsink, so I'm going to leave that out for right now. I think 8 screws that'll hold it though. All right, I think we should fire it up. What do you think? Should we fire it up? Yeah? Okay, I need a keyboard and a mouse. Move this and move all that over here. You think that looks better? Wait till you see it, how better it performs. It'll be way better. It'll boot every time, it'll shut down every time. Because, you know, they're actually good parts instead of cheap crap from AliExpress. Cheap, unreliable, unwarranted crap is what we had. And now, it's kind of interesting with the black motherboard. Interesting color combination there. Power, let's switches off. So we'll use the onboard video for now, HDMI, power, and internet, since this already has, supposedly already has Windows 10 on it. Switch on. And we'll turn HDMI capture on. Let's see what happens. What happened to all my RGB? Where'd all my RGB go? The motherboard RGB is lit up. Oh. Uh-huh. Not getting any video out of it though. Hello, computer. Did I plug into the right? Oh, I'm not plugged into the right. I've turned window capture on OBS instead of HDMI capture. So this thing could already be in Windows for all I know. It is. It's already in Windows. All right. Let's check it for updates. Oh, yeah, it's already getting updates. All right, so while we're doing that, if you guys have any questions for me, this will be the time to ask. I'm going to go grab a colder Gatorade and see if I can get this thermal compound off my fingers. I don't even know how I got any on me, but somehow I managed to, which is, you know, some kind of a skill. Not all skills have value. All right, that feels better. Bob R says, upgraded hot dog. It was emptier with the mini ITX ERYING. Oh, that wasn't a mini ITX, no. That was a micro ATX. Mini ATX is even smaller. If a motherboard only has one screw in each corner, 4 screws total, that's a mini ATX board. They're about that big. The ERYING board was one of the standard industry acceptable widths and lengths of what we define as micro ATX, and it had the same width, but it was longer than a mini ATX. Luke Greenia says, I need that RAM for my machine. Hey, good news, they sell it at Amazon. There's plenty of it in stock. And Newegg. Real Face says, it's too bright, it hurts my eyes. It's like staring into the sun. It's very bright. Every time we put this CPU cooler on, it reads 24 degrees Celsius.
I noticed that.
Is that real? Or is it just the number 24 that lights up? It pretends that it's reading the temperatures. Do I change my mouse speed? No, I don't. No, these builds aren't anything I'm working with daily, so I use whatever the defaults are. Now, if I was going to use it every day, I'd probably adjust it to how I like it. John goes, what do you think of those Elite motherboards? They're fine. I mean, if you see me using it, it must not be too bad. The exception would be the ERYING, but I've made that very clear that none of that build was recommended. But if you watch any of the dozens upon dozens upon dozens upon dozens of builds I have on this channel, you'll see the pattern of which boards I prefer to use. But it really doesn't matter which board you want to use. In my opinion, I sell these to customers, and customers are going to call me when they have a problem. So if a board has a problem or I don't get good support from the board manufacturer, the customer doesn't know that. Customer just knows whether or not I solve their problem. They don't know what I'm doing once I have their problem and I'm responsible for it. So I choose parts that are available, reasonably priced, and are reliable because I'm working at a bigger scale. But if it's just you and you're just building your own system, any of the 4 big motherboard manufacturers, ASRock, Gigabyte, Asus, and MSI, you could pretty much use any of their boards and you'd be fine. I'm starting to realize that it does appear that the bracket back here, maybe it does go the other way around, because I see cutouts here for going around these screws that are not cut out down here. I think I need to flip that the other way around, but not a major deal. It's something that's just bugging my OCD. Let's see here. So the video looks fuzzy over here. That means my resolution's too low. So we'll hit the little gear icon. And there should be a button here. Gears at the very top. Yeah, auto quality is at 240p? I don't think so. Advanced. Let's go to 1080. Ah, now the text isn't blurry anymore. And then let me go back over to live chat. There we go. Matt Zoloff says, thank you and good night. See you all next time. Hey, thanks for hanging out with us, Matt Zoloff. Will that motherboard support a 10700 CPU? My motherboard is only Gen 3. Any generation 10 or 11 motherboards should work with either CPU. It's really about the socket. If the motherboard, so let's say your 10700, it's got a size. It's called an LGA 1151 or LGA 1200, I think is Is it 1200? And so 10th and 11th gen boards are going to be socket 1200. 13th gen is going to be socket 1700. So you cannot. What is your fascination? What is the purpose behind having 4 more milliseconds in your transfer speed? I'm kind of curious why somebody would have to buy a new Windows license, completely disassemble their motherboard, move their CPU back, move their RAM, reinstall everything, risk damaging it while you're doing it. Why are you doing this? And you've already spent how much money? And you're talking about another $180 for another motherboard? I mean, it's your money and it's your time. Maybe it's just something for you to do. But that seems like a profound waste of money. I mean, profound. If I were you, I would send that 980 back and I would consider getting a better chip. If you've got a 10700, consider a 10850K or a 10900K. That will actually make a difference in performance. You're, in my opinion, you're trying to accomplish something that won't make any real difference that's significant. It'll be just a teeny tiny bit faster. And you're going to spend upwards of $300+ between the cost of the drive, the cost of the motherboard. You'll have to buy another Windows license. And I don't know why that would be worth it to you to go through all of that work and potentially break a perfectly fine working computer. I don't understand it because I do this for a living, and people are often quite stressed out when their computer doesn't work. So why somebody would take a perfectly good working computer and then spend $300 or any amount of money they didn't have to spend to acquire something that will make almost no noticeable difference in everyday use and potentially damage the computer, it doesn't seem like it's worth it. But it's your money, it's your time, it's your computer. I think you could invest that in things that could actually make a better difference. A nicer screen, perhaps, or better CPU, or more RAM, double your RAM. I think all of that would cost less and would make a significant difference compared to just trying to go to Gen 4. Gotta love marketing companies, though. This is what they do to you. Is that still updating? Yeah, it looks like it's still updating. Of course, then Gen 5 will be out, Larry, so then you can turn around and buy another board after that and buy another NVMe drive after that, and then you can go a few more milliseconds faster. And then when you do that, then Gen 6 will probably be out, and then you can do it again, and then you'll be adding Gen 6 to an obsolete CPU. I wouldn't do it. Can't recommend it, Larry. I think he's just bored and looking for something to do and has a little extra money. There's no good reason to do that for anything practical. Very, very little benefit to you to do that, and just a lot of risk and guaranteed expense. But Bob R says he's got the itch for a new build. All right. Let's see, how are we doing over here? Still down, oh, it's downloading the Intel display driver and the cumulative update. All right, so we still have a few minutes. Jeremy wants to know my thoughts on building an emulation computer because I built one. I personally would rather refurbish an old computer than take a brand new computer and then emulate it down to make it dumber and slower. I would much rather not emulate. I'd rather have the real thing. But again, the beauty of computers is you can use them for ridiculous nonsense. You can use them to get actual work done and to earn money. You can use them to waste your time on the internet, and then before you know it, all your good years are behind you because you stayed inside clicking on the screen and, you know, and then look back on it and go, oh, I wish I could do that again. But it's your choice, and you can certainly choose to live your life however you please. I'm not a fan of simulation or emulation unless it's absolutely required. I prefer reality, and so if I wanted to run older games, I'd run them on an older computer that they were designed to run on. But that's just me. But yeah. Slappy says, no, it's King Shiitake. Oh, I might have to change the name on it now. I don't think it's Shiitake anymore. Let's see, does it still say it's 24? It still says it's 24 degrees. Maybe I have to plug that into USB. I never did plug that other cable in. So the other cable here that I'm holding up, that comes off of our CPU cooler that plugs into the RGB, plugs into the USB on the motherboard, which I still don't know what it's for though. But I'll just leave that there as a reminder for me to plug that in the next time I shut the system down. And is that done? What's it say? Pending install. Okay, restart now. Okay. Whisper quiet. Lots of RGB. And one less motherboard sitting around in my inventory collecting dust. It's found a home. I definitely think I want to swap that CPU fan heatsink backplate the other way around. Yeah, wasn't paying close enough attention when I was doing that. This socket is different than the socket on the other board where it didn't matter. So I guess on some boards it's going to matter, and on other boards it doesn't. And then we'll go back to Windows Update. We'll hit the Install Now button here. We'll get that display driver, the cumulative update. Then we'll reboot again, come back and get this optional quality update. And then we'll reboot after that and see if we're all updated. Glenn's Music said, what's the motherboard? I missed it, can't see it in the info. Yeah, I didn't add the parts yet, but the motherboard is in this box in front of me. That's a Gigabyte Z690 Aorus Elite AX DDR4. And this was from a video I did, about 3 or 4 months back. So this motherboard supports Gen 5, PCIe Gen 5. All right, let's see. Right click, full screen. Oh, yeah, we're still updating. Okay. So back over to the chat. Let's see what you guys are talking about here. Is the HotDog PC going to be the new streamer PC? I don't think there's anything wrong with the streamer PC I have. No, it's not my intent to build another streaming PC. In fact, I don't think this will even fit between these two shelves. I'd have to move the shelves to make it fit. No, I don't have any intention of replacing the streaming PC anytime soon. This is just content. You know, trying to make educational content that I'm not finding on YouTube, which is, what's so bad about buying from AliExpress? What's so bad about that motherboard? Well, I want to show you firsthand. You know, sometimes it doesn't boot, sometimes it doesn't shut down. Video drivers can cause it to crash. Windows 11 won't install on it. You have to install Windows 10, and then you have to upgrade 10 to 11. There doesn't appear to be any other way to install Windows 11. but I'll still work on it, just on, when I'm bored and have nothing better to do. It's ridiculous. And certainly, if I sold a machine like that to a customer, I would lose that customer and probably deal with some real negative reviews. But I just want to show people that if you make that mistake, you can fix it. It's just that buying the cheap stuff usually will cost you more. So in this case, whatever I paid for that motherboard CPU from ERYING, including the ERYING RAM and the ERYING NVMe drive, that's all money that could have originally gone to this build right here. And all that money I spent, which is about $300 for those items, could have been used for anything I wanted $300 for. But instead, and let's face it, I can still reuse the ERYING RAM in something else. I can still reuse the ERYING NVMe drive in something else. But if those products were to fail, then the customer's going to see me as selling them inferior quality. And at that point, they forget about the money they saved by saying, hey, I can save you some money and get you some unwarranted parts from China that take 21 days to arrive. They might initially love the idea of saving money, but then as they live with it day to day, they're not going to get angry at the computer. They're going to get angry at me for selling them the computer. And that's just no way to maintain. I cannot stay in business like that. So if you're a home user, you likely don't have $300 to burn as easily as I do for the YouTube channel. And if you decide to do that, I want you to fully understand what you are signing yourself up for. So now, what I've got here now, using what I consider to be a cheap power supply and a cheap case, although this case isn't cheap, it's 150 bucks, but it is acceptable as far as my supporting it for the customer. If this rear fan goes out, trying to find a replacement for it that will match and have the ARGB isn't as simple as just buying any fan. I have to pay very close details to matching that. And so that adds to potential support cost. So I have all of these other considerations because I'm selling lots and lots of computers. And I can't sell more computers if I'm busy fixing them for free and trying to calm a customer down for being angry and upset with me. So I spent $300 I didn't have to spend. And like I said, reusing that ERYING RAM, there's no warranty on it. Reusing that SSD from ERYING, there's no warranty on it. So if the customer loses all their data because the drive dies, too bad, right? And they're gonna be mad at me. So none of that could I sell to a customer. I could give it away, but I couldn't sell it. And if I give it away, it's under the terms and conditions that I won't be contacted for support. It's too costly. So essentially, it's like throwing it into a trash can. I never want to see it again. So if somebody accepts it, they're accepting my trash. Don't take something out of my garbage can and then ask me for help putting it back together. That's all I'm saying. All right, let's see. Is it waiting on a restart? Oh, it is waiting on a restart, okay. Do all the fans in this build seem fairly quiet? That's what Ron wants to know. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I'd say completely silent. I'm not hearing them at all, not at all. Now, of course, we're not really pushing the system either. If I run Prime 95 on it, I expect those heat sinks, fans on the CPU cooler heatsink to ramp up. And since I have the rear case fan plugged into the CPU optional header on the board, because that was just a cleaner way to run the cable, then as the CPU heats up, that rear case fan is going to move quicker in response as well. And if I don't want that to happen, I can go into BIOS and I can change it, or I can physically plug it into a fan header that's for the case instead of for the CPU. Okay, looks good. Back over to Windows Update. Download and install that one now. Bob Peterson said, I'm a fan and I'm still quiet. I'm not going to get the Beatles kind of fans where they scream and cry and pass out. Ah! Probably if I take my shirt off. John Gardner said he just refurbed a Dell Optiplex 3020 for a low-income family and set it up for them, including Windows 10, a monitor, a wireless keyboard, and a mouse. Very kind of you, John. Very nice. Samuel Kowalski says, what's going to happen with that PC? No idea. I really don't know. I didn't even know yesterday that this was going to happen. There's no long-term plan. Ideally, somebody will want to buy it. If somebody wants to buy it, I'll probably sell it to them. Yeah. Once I'm done with it. I don't know when I'm done with it yet because I'm not quite sure if I'm going to add a discrete graphics card to it and, you know, put it in vertically here. But yeah, I don't know. No idea. Test the temps. That's what John wants me to do. Yeah, let's let it do the updates first, and yeah, we'll put Prime 95 on here. I also want to power it down and plug the USB header in for the CPU fan. I don't know what that does. Maybe there's some software we can download, but I'll at least plug it in. I'd also like to reverse this rear support bracket, but it's not critical. It's just an OCD thing. Looks like we've got about 372 people watching the stream. If you're new here, welcome in. We have a wonderful community here. All those names you see in blue and green, these are all kind and supportive individuals. And if you have questions, if I don't see it or I don't answer it, or even if I do, be sure and watch for answers coming from this amazing community that we have. And hopefully you'll stick around and want to be a part of it. I'd love to see this community grow with more kind, courteous, respectful individuals, particularly supportive ones. It's very difficult, if not impossible, to find a community like this on the internet, and I'm very proud of it, and thank you guys for being a part of it. Michael Dane is talking with John Gardner. It appears both these gentlemen build refurbished computers and give them to people in need in their community, which is just awesome. That goes to what I'm talking about with the kindness and the courtesy of the members of the community. So Michael Dane said he just built another computer for a veteran so he can start online school. He refurbished a 9700K with 16 gigs of RAM and a terabyte SSD. Hey, 9700K is a damn fine system. John Gardner says, my hobby is refurbing old PCs. So when I get a good one, I give them to families that can't afford one or need one quick, and it makes me happy. Right on. You guys rock. Vern wants to know what the black bracket is on the power supply shroud. That appears to be a support bracket for a vertical GPU. But we'd have to get the PCI extension cable to run from the PCI slot down to this bracket, and then the video card would fit in, and then there's two slots here. So if the video card is 3 brackets wide, it won't fit. It's got to be 1 or 2 at the most. Larry says, yeah, I was just bored and looking to upgrade. This is the system you built for me in September of 21. Oh, that system's not even 2 years old. He says, maybe I should just build a new PC. Yeah, I think that's what you should do. Why potentially damage a system, and why undo all the work I did? Like my work wasn't good enough? It kind of hurts my feelings. But you could build something yourself that's going to be better in every way. You can have a better power supply, a better motherboard, a better CPU, better, faster, and more RAM, better, faster, bigger NVMe drive, better, faster, bigger video card. Yeah, that's where the fun is. Nick Poverman says there's a SpaceX launch in 20 minutes. Oh, that's not just any SpaceX launch. That's a Falcon Heavy launch. I think they've only launched the Falcon Heavy twice before, but it's got 3 rockets. So the side boosters will disconnect and they will both land like ballet dancers together. They'll land side by side. It's the most incredible thing to see. That was supposed to launch Friday, and they had some issue. In fact, the launch before that on Wednesday or Thursday also had an issue, and they had to postpone it a day. So I think it was supposed to go up Wednesday. So that one went up, and now the Falcon Heavy is supposed to be today. So hopefully that'll go up, no problems. Watch those boosters land side by side. I can never get enough of seeing that. It's so cool. Let's Go says, this is better than SpaceX. I'd rather watch SpaceX, but you know, thank you. That's nice of you to say. There's no recovery for the center. Yeah, if the middle rocket has to go up too far up to get whatever it's got in orbit, which could be because of the distance or the weight of the payload, then there's not enough fuel left to bring it back down. So it'll just tumble back into Earth and fall into the ocean. But the boosters will come down. Wait, no return to the boosters? Selden says no return of boosters. It's fully expendable for a geo transfer orbit for 2 satellites. Aw. Oh, then I don't want to watch it then. Where's the fun? If you can't see the boosters come back. I mean, I've only seen the boosters land successfully the last 187 launches, so I don't know why it's so exciting, but I just enjoy watching the boosters come down. And when they come down side by side, that is just so cool. Jose Del Nido says, what a wonderful pre-Labor Day surprise. Labor Day's in September, isn't it? I'm thinking of Memorial Day, I think. But it's okay to have white before Labor Day, right? It's after Labor Day you don't wear white. Something like that. Paul McIntosh, Carey, you are too young to have all this wisdom and common sense. I was beginning to think all that was going extinct. Oh, it's all an act. I'm not as smart as you think I am. I've tricked you. All right, finally, that cumulative update is starting to install. Joshua says it is Labor Day in another country. Is it? What country is it Labor Day in? I mean, the guy's name is Jose, so is he south of the border? Bob Peterson says you don't wear white until Memorial Day. I've never heard that before. I just know you're not supposed to wear white after Labor Day. I don't wear white, so it's really not a problem for me. Jose Del Nido says, here in South America, Labor Day is May 1st. Oh, well, all right. Well, happy Labor Day. Floyd's Ghost says, Carey may not be a wise man, but he plays one on YouTube. I'm not really an actor, I just play one on TV. Shamim says almost everywhere is International Labor Day, but in the US, it'll be September 4th this year. Glenn's Music wants to know, what is Flagstaff like as a town? I notice it's a lot cooler. Flagstaff is a college town. Northern Arizona University's there. It's pretty small. There's also a lot of Indian reservations up in around that area, around Williams and Flagstaff. As a result of its size and the fact that there's so many students there going to college, there is, what would be the best way to describe?
College town.
It's very, very,
It's quaint.
it's overpopulated for the size that it is. It's like they've got twice as many people as that town was really designed for.
And it snows.
Yeah, it snows up there. Well, it's north, it's in the mountains. But it's small and it's very, very packed. So moving around, it's almost faster to walk or use a bicycle than to drive your car around there. And, it's beautiful though, especially in the wintertime. It's, you know, you go up into northern Arizona and you don't feel like you're in Arizona anymore. It's green and there's pine trees and there's deer and elk. Yeah. Of course, that's true going further east. There's a city called Alpine in Arizona, right on the New Mexico border. And that's up in the mountains and it's all green and you wouldn't know you were in Arizona. Winston Liu contributes $5.50 Canadian and says, ERYING means and English in Mandarin Chinese. I researched it. Sorry for adding my comments. Yeah, that doesn't make it any clearer. And English? What does that mean, and English? And usually refers to two things, something and something else. So to say and something else doesn't make any sense. It might be the literal definition, but I don't think that's the intended translation. But I don't know. Interesting. Thank you for the contribution, Winston. Where's my mouse? There it is. Go back to Windows updates. And check one more time. This PC can run Windows 11. Stay on Windows 10 for now. And let's just check the specifications. We'll go to the system. 13th gen Core i5 13600K. 3.5 gigahertz versus the 1.8 gigahertz of that ERYING board. Should be 32 gigs of RAM, yeah. And 31.8 is usable since we're using onboard video. Onboard video needs to use some of our RAM. That's why when you plug a video card in, the video card has its own RAM. We should be activated. See if Windows is activated. Windows is activated with a digital license. Let's take a look at the device manager, make sure we don't have any issues in the device manager, that everything is happy in there. Oh, we have something, unknown device. I wonder what that is. Oh, what else do we have here? Something else. Let's take these out. And then, why is this expanded out like that? Let me close this and reopen it. Device manager. It doesn't like something in there. Let's refresh and see if it finds those. Yeah, still finds unknown device. What did I plug into it that was USB? Should just be the front USB header, I thought. I haven't plugged the CPU fan in yet. Why don't we do that now? Let's go ahead and shut this down. Ooh, that's quick. Well, it's still on though. I mean, the RGB there just clicked off. Let's plug in the USB from the CPU fan. That'll go right next to the other one. Okay, so this USB is the only thing that's plugged into USB, and that's coming off of the, what I thought is just going to the header, but let's turn it back on. Oh, you can kind of hear the fan. And then it slows down. Interesting. Pretty typical. And let's see, we're going to need Prime 95. So I'll grab my utilities flash drive and we'll plug that in here. And let's grab, PC testing software, Prime 95. And let's see, hardware monitor. You know what, let's grab this one too. Let's see. Oops. All right, so according to this software, our temperature for our CPU is 30 degrees. CPU fan still says 24. All right, and then let's bring up Prime 95. Let's go ahead and just put this thing on blast. And we already got up to 60 in seconds. Let's see. Did I not bring my phone in here? It's taking me this long to realize I left my phone in the other room. I want to start my stopwatch so I can see when this goes for 20 minutes or if it overheats, how long that takes. Where did I leave my phone? Oh, I left it on the charger. That explains that mystery. All right, let's go to the stopwatch here. David Coleman sent $10 for PayPal contribution. Says good faith. Thank you, David. Oh, you sent me a thumbnail for today's video? Mm-hmm. Thank you. Okay, I'll have to take a look at those when we're done. What was I going to do? I was going to start my stopwatch. Okay. So we'll see how this does. Fatal Dragons contributes $5 in Super Chat. Says, hey, Carey, hey, Chad, it's Sunday. New song of the week is Jackie Wilson Said, I'm in Heaven With You by Van Morrison. There's an oldie. Paul McIntosh says, yeah, that cooler is probably a bad time, but who cares? It looks pretty. Yeah, I still got to figure out what those, what the USB issue is in the device manager. It's nothing critical, but it just bothers my OCD to not have that filled. And this still says it's 24 degrees. This is not 24 degrees. This is lying to us. I'll tell you what, while that's running, let's just take a look and see. Wrong keyboard. ALSEYE drivers. Support. USB cables properly connected for the BEM 2.1. I don't know what that is, but I think that's for this weird cooler they make. Oh, chassis. Is there a driver for the chassis? No, it looks like they do make that in black. Be cool, be visible. Halo lighting front panel design. Transparent side panel with imitated door design. It's not a real door. Hey, that's the cooler we're using. Lots of room for a radiator. Or two. Oh, that's not a good sign. Microsoft Defender, more info. Run it anyway. Fan's getting louder. Still within tolerance, it's fine. 78 looks like the hottest it's gotten so far. Now, where did that download install to? ALSEYE. I hope it does more than that. There it is. Oh, now the numbers are changing on front of the CPU. I mean the front of the CPU fan. Let's go full screen on camera one. I'll show you guys. See the numbers right there on the top of the CPU fan? What number does that say? 69. And what does the software say? Wonder if that's going to align with what our software says. So their software says 69. But what does our third-party software say? says 70 right here, 69, 69, 70. It says, pretty much says 69. You want to grab the close-up camera, we'll do some, well, we're waiting anyway. We've been going on this test a little over 6.5 minutes, and temperatures are still looking, as long as they stay at 85 or below, I'm good with it. Let's switch over to close-up camera. There you go, come on over. Take a good look in there. Now, I don't know about you, but I think this hot dog is way more appetizing than the other hot dog. Step back a little bit more. You can see the RGB underneath the motherboard there on that right side. Well, I guess it's the viewer's left side. Gourmet, is that what you said?
Gourmet.
Gourmet hot dog. And you know, with the panels off, it'll be a little bit quieter, but you can certainly hear that rear case fan is a bit louder than the CPU fan. And if I would have plugged it in somewhere differently, I wouldn't deal with that noise, but it's moving air, it's doing what it's supposed to do. And we don't have any front fans drawing any air in, and you know, not that we need it, but if I was gonna put a GPU in here, I'd want some front fans on there to just help move air over the GPU.
That is great.
All right, let's go back over to camera one. I think I had enough of that. Camera one, and I'll turn off the backup camera. You're good. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Nick Poverman said NASA said they can see that from space. Bob Peterson, SpaceX launched Falcon Heavy. Good, good. Yeah, so where are we at on the timer? We're a little over 10 minutes now, and I guess I don't need to check the software anymore. I can just look at the top of the cooler. It's locked in there at 69. Well, because this is a Core i5 and not an i7 or i9, I think that cooler's probably going to be just fine. I don't think there's any way to overheat this. I still, like I said, I want to take that bracket and spin it around the other way. But so much better, right? It's going to boot every time. It's going to shut down every time. I'm not going to have to wait 4 seconds after hitting the power button for it to turn on. If BIOS updates are needed, BIOS updates will be made available, which is not going to happen with the ERYING. And if there's a problem within the warranty period, I can send it back for repair or replacement, which you cannot do with the ERYING. So, yeah. Cooler is beautiful but noisy. Well, again, with the side panels on it, that'll quiet it down a bit, and it really wouldn't get that noisy unless you're really pushing the system, right? So maybe some heavy gaming moments, but if you're gaming, you probably have headphones on and you're listening to the game. If you're just working with the computer, likely you're not going to push it that hard. And if you were pushing it that hard, you probably are waiting for the computer to finish doing a big job like video rendering, for example, in a video edit, in which case what are you going to do, stare at the screen like watching grass grow? You probably just walk out of the room. So I don't think it's that loud. I think it's fine. And I also think that if I found another header to plug this fan in, I think most of the noise is coming from that fan. But it is a hot dog. So, do I have another fan header? Oh, I've got a bunch of fan headers at the bottom of the board. But will the fan plug reach the bottom of the board? I don't know that it will. I'm pretty sure it's not going to reach. And 12.5 minutes since I started the timer. Okay, any other questions while we're waiting for this torture test to finish? Bobby Warren said I had to call my internet service provider. They have to send a guy. Yeah, what's going on with your internet? Got 298 of you watching right now. Welcome in, everybody. Thanks for hanging out with me this Sunday afternoon. Callard and Bowser says, I seem to have so much instability and problems with third-party RGB light control software that I uninstalled all of it. Was on an ASUS Dark Hero X570 motherboard with a AMD 5900X CPU and a 3090 Founders Edition GPU, and I don't miss any of it. Yeah, it's dumb. It's a headache, it's expensive, it's pointless, and all it takes is one Windows update, and everything that was working gets to be not working again, and then you get to diagnose that, figure out it's your RGB software. That happened to me live on video at Studio A with the ASUS Aura software, and I just didn't know it was the ASUS Aura software until I figured it out, and had to reinstall Windows 3 times in that diagnostic process to find out that there was a newer version of the ASUS Aura software. Instead of using the version that was on the disk that came with the motherboard, the version on the website was a newer version, and that fixed the problem. But I don't know if that became a problem again with another Windows update, because I was done with it at that point. So I'm not using any software to control the RGB. That's all happening through a button here on the top of the case. And so by pushing the LED button, we can cycle through a number of different color patterns or solid static colors. Go all red. Ooh. Fans sound even louder now. Now it's getting angry. How about pink? What's your favorite color? No?
Press the button.
We're running at 5.1 gig on the CPU. The CPU cranks to 5.1? Holy cow. Push the button, she says. If I hold the button in, we could do that. How's that? Ron wants to know my opinion about the case quality of the case construction. It's better than I was expecting. I don't like that I only have one USB 3.0 port, because when you plug that USB 3 header in, the header provides 2 ports. But the motherboard manufacturer, or the case manufacturer, is not giving you one of them. They're only you're plugged into 2, and they're only giving you 1. I hate that. So there's one USB 3 and 2 USB 2s on top of the case, and I would have liked to have seen 2 USB 3s and 2 USB 2s. There is a hard drive activity LED on the top of the case, which I would have preferred to be on the front of it. So you have to for me to see it, I have to get on my tiptoes and look. But the LEDs are pretty small and pretty dim, which is weird since all the RGB is very big and very bright. So if the information is conveyed, if there's critical information conveyed by the LED, such as the power being on or off or the hard drive reading or writing, then they made those lights difficult to find and dim. But if the RGB doesn't do anything but flash and show colors, well, they made that big and bold and bright. So if it's important, they've hidden it, and if it's not important, they put it in your face. Such is the way of things with hot dogs. Overall, the case is decent. I mean, for $150, it feels like it's worth about $150. It's big, it's packed well, it's real glass on the side, it's not plastic. Overall, I can't really find too much to pick on with it. The drive tray looks like, I'm just noticing now that I can move it more towards the front to give me more room for to access the modular power supply connectors. Or you can take the hard drive tray out altogether. And the amount of radiators and placement for radiators is fantastic. You can place a radiator up at the top or up in the front. If the radiator, what?
The temps,
What does it say?
99.
It says 99? What are we at? 17 and a half minutes. We've not gone the full 20. I didn't think it would cause, I didn't think that the i5 13600 would have pushed it that hard. But that's why we run the test. So when it hits 100, it's not causing any damage, but it is causing the CPU to throttle. And that's why I let the test run for as long as I do, is because Prime 95 runs a series of different tests. And if I just stop the test, you don't have to panic. We'll just stop the test because it has failed, as far as I'm concerned. You'll see the temps drop very, very rapidly. Yeah, we're down to 45 now, that quickly. So, yeah, well, we have a failure there. So whoever said that, was it Ron? Said that cooler may not cool the CPU, but it looks cool. Turns out he was right. Yeah, there you go. And that's why we test it. But now you can't even hear it at all. And that's normally the way people use their computers. They don't normally push them that hard for that length of time. But you should be able to if you want to. And if I put that Mugen 5 back on it, we'll pass the test fine. But it's not much to look at. So, yeah. You want to push it hard for 10 minutes? No problem. You want to push it hard for 17 minutes? You might be throttling, you might blue screen. It might even shut down if it feels it has to do that to save itself. Now it's a well done hot dog. All right, let's go back full screen on camera 1. Yeah, I don't think I'm going to change the cooler out in it, though. I think I'm going to leave it just the way it is. Because going for the looks, it's still, because of the cooler, still a hot dog. Patrick wants to know if I will rerun the test when I flip the CPU cooler backplate around. Yeah, I'm going to, although I don't think it's going to make any difference, but it's possible that the backplate's not flush, and if the backplate's not flush, then it's possible that the bottom of the heatsink isn't flush with the top of the CPU. I don't think that's the case, but you know, it's possible. And the only way to know is to flip it around and run the test again. But I suspect the test will be the same. Jim mentions you can get an RGB Mugen 5. Yeah, but it's not this. I don't think they make a white Mugen 5, do they? It's just silver or black as far as I know. Paul McIntosh says, as big as that cooler is, you'd think it'd work better. But that's the point, is it's not what it appears to be. It's all about show. It is a It's all about appearances. If you take all the plastic surrounds off of it, you'll see how small it really is. And it may even cool better without the plastic surrounds on it. It's mainly for looks. It's not for being practical. Hot dog builds are not practical builds. They're usually very cheap, not always, and they're usually style over substance. There you have it. Any other questions I can answer, or are we going to wrap it up for today? It's still a massive improvement over that ERYING board, for sure. Way, way better. I'm also curious in the device manager what those items were that's missing. Is it the wireless drivers I didn't put on, or let's see, go over to my HDMI input, take another look at that real quick. Let's close that, close that. Okay. Let's see, right-click, device manager, unknown device. I still don't know why this USB stuff is showing up in here. I mean, we're under system devices. Why are the system devices expanded out? Usually does that if there's a problem. This device is currently, I can't read that. This device is currently waiting on another device or set of devices. Okay. Well, let's try something here. Let's take that out. Refresh. Just goes right back to where it was. Under the network adapters, is the Wi-Fi in there? Yeah, Wi-Fi is in there. What are these unknown devices? Let's see, this is a gigabyte. This is the Elite AX DDR4. Yeah, that's the one. Is it revision 1? Let's go to support. Chipset driver. Maybe it's the serial I/O driver we need. That one can get you. And we can do the INF one as well. Let's see. Hey, one of those went away. still something it doesn't like. We got rid of the error down in the system devices. We have an unknown device here. Well, if it's Intel, we'll know with the Intel Driver Update Assistant. Let's take a look there. What's for dinner? Chicken nuggets? Pretzels?
For you, maybe.
Fried chicken? Rotisserie chicken? Broiled chicken?
Onion.
Onion? Vidalia onions are in season. Harvesting day was the 17th of April for the Vidalias. I'm not a fan of onions, but Vidalias make some good onion rings out of those. All right, we're going to reboot now that I've got the Intel Driver Assistant installed, and in just a minute we'll see the post screen appear, and then you can see on the time how much time this takes to boot us to the desktop. Should be pretty quick. ALSEYE wants to run. There's our Intel Driver Assistant. Oh, we've got a number of things here. Let's grab them all. All right, so while we're waiting, take a look in the chat room here. Andy Kane would like to order a steak, medium well, medium cooked with fries. Hey, steak and potatoes. Ron says he wishes he could get me to play Unreal Tournament again. We used to be a good team. Yeah, we're still a good team. Paul McIntosh says it's the Bluetooth that's not installed. Oh, yeah, I don't see the little Bluetooth symbol down in the system tray. Nice catch. Either way, this should take care of it. Mortant says, check my email. Okay, we'll check the email. Oh, an Amazon gift card. Holy cow. Holy cow. I don't even want to say that out loud. Hello, Carey. Here's for the channel. I just got home, so I'm celebrating my birthday. Keep up the great work. Well, happy birthday to Mortant. Everybody say happy birthday. He just made a very generous contribution. I don't know if I want to say it. But thank you so much. Oh, David Coleman is Captain Blinsky. Oh, I see. That's the earlier contribution that came in from David Coleman. Now I know who you are. Well, thank you for the PayPal contribution, David. All right. Mortant, since you did what you just did, I'm going to show you what I'm going to buy. And I'm going to do this for the channel because, believe me, the last thing I need is another computer around here. But because of your generosity, I can now justify buying this to make a video with. And that is the Rubik's Cube case. I think it's way overpriced, but I think it's going to make for a very good video. I got to find it. I'm going to order this. It'll probably take a month. Yeah, it says if I order it today, I'll get it at the end of May or beginning of June. And it will hold a micro ATX motherboard in it. What do you think? I think that'll make for some good content. I have looked all over YouTube and I've not seen anybody do a build in this case. So I think I'll be the first. I mean, you guys can look and let me know if you find any, because I'd like to know. But that's the Lingyan Cube computer case. It sells for about $30 less at AliExpress, but I know I can return things to Amazon. So I'll pay the extra 30 bucks. The amount of time it's going to take to ship, it's probably coming from the same seller, I bet you. They're calling it Rubik's, which is clearly, I'm sure, a trademark violation. Yeah, what do you think? I was also looking at this one. This is another weird one. It just looks massive. And they're all like around the $400 price point.
Wow, that's kind of neat.
You think that's neat?
Yeah.
Jim says, jealous, way too much for my blood. Sarge Tech said, Carey, you'll be the one to be copied. Be a leader. Well, I think Mortant needs to have birthdays more often since I'm the one who gets the presents. So when I do the build, which should probably be in June, using the Cube case, you'll have to remind me that that's the Mortant-inspired build right there. That's what that will be. That's future content because of the generosity of Mortant. Now I can pay for that and do it. And once I make the computer in there, once I build it, I have no idea how the heck I'm going to get rid of it, because shipping that would be a nightmare. But yeah, well, maybe if Mortant wants it, I'll make an exception for him. Well, we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. Something to look forward to this summer. Mortant says, that's fun, Carey. It is fun, isn't it? It's not very practical. I think it only has one USB port up front. I thought that's what it said anyway. And since it's coming all the way from China, I don't know if it's going to arrive in one piece or if the build quality is going to be crap. It could just be, and likely is, another hot dog. But we can at least put some healthier ingredients in it, even if the outside is all show and no go. But on the other hand, maybe it'll be very well made. I mean, I just don't know until I get one. And I've not found any other reviews on YouTube for this. And I want stuff to do that other people haven't already done. So, yeah, cool. How's our Intel download going over here? Install all, yes. Next, yes, install. Ben Laird says, hello from Scotland. Paul McIntosh says, that's an expensive hot dog. It's gourmet. It's a Wagyu hot dog. Jason Thomas said it'll give you and Mitch something to build. Yeah, that would be a good excuse to have Mitch back over. He can help me build it. Great idea. Hot dogs, get your hot dogs. Yeah, there's where you get paid for an expensive hot dog. Go to a baseball game. Camp Blinsky says, I have content on Facebook you're welcome to peruse. I don't really follow anybody on Facebook. I do post what's going on with the channel there on Facebook. But anybody that I'm friends with, I don't follow anybody. So don't be offended by that. I just stopped following people on Facebook quite a while ago. And there should be one last driver here. There's that ARC control again. That's our Bluetooth driver going in. We'll hit finish. Now it should be happy, right? Drivers are all up to date. Good, good. Let's go to the device manager and see if everything in the device manager is happy now. No, we still have an unknown device there. So, I don't know what that driver is. I'm going to uninstall it. And then we'll refresh. Still doesn't know what this is. That could be the CPU fan? I'm not sure. Let's go ahead and restart and see if it just magically goes away. Okay. Well, I guess that's going to come up every time now, huh? I don't want that either. I'm going to take that ARC software out like I did before because it drives me crazy. Until ARC control uninstall. I do see the little blue Bluetooth icon now on the system tray. And one more time, let's take a look in the device manager and see if anything is happy. No, still something unknown. Unknown device. Well, it's saying chipset. Didn't I put the chipset driver on here? Thought I did this already. What else might that be? We did the serial I/O. There's an HID event filter. It could be that. make it go away? Yep, that's what it was. So the I/O driver, the HID driver, and the chipset driver, and that makes everything happy now. Let's run Crystal Disk Mark on this and see what kind of numbers we're going to get out of this ADATA drive. All right, and I think that'll about wrap it up for today. Morton said, that's a nice motherboard, Carey. Yeah. Basically, it was building a system in the train computer for our good friend Buster in Scotland, because he works with trains in real life. And I built it with the 13600K, and I didn't really think it through. It gets too hot in that little train PC because we have a very small cooler that only fits in there. So I had to put in a lower power CPU, but now I had a 13600K with no place to go. So I went online and found this motherboard and decided we'll put it in the board, we'll throw a Mugen 5 on there, we'll use that ADATA 2 terabyte drive I've got, slap it all together, and it'll find a home someday. And now it's finally found its home. Yeah. Jim says, I mentioned chipset drivers a while ago. Yeah. I think when I built it, I was under the impression that I had already done that, but apparently I didn't. So that's why usually when I build the machines on camera, I do all that stuff. But this one was a while back, and I can't remember. So, and it looks like my camera's covering up our numbers, isn't it? Turn the camera one off for a minute so you guys can see that. Miraora says Amazon stopped recommending ADATA SSDs to me. Now it's recommending Team Group SSDs instead. I don't know if I trust Amazon's recommendations. They recommend you buy something. Not exactly unbiased or really looking out for your best interest. But, you know, if you buy based on recommendations, go for it. I prefer to do my own research. Read the online reviews that people have left, evaluate the price per gig, if it's a good deal or not, and if the company is reputable or if it's some unknown company where there's not likely going to be any support. I take all that under consideration. Whether or not Amazon recommends it, that's not a part of my evaluation. But so this is obviously a Gen 3, this must be a Gen 3 SSD. It almost seems a shame to put a Gen 3 SSD in this. Do I have a Gen 4 SSD laying around? I bet I do. Whoops. Let me see. Gen 4. Oh, there's a Samsung 980. Speak of the devil. Two terabyte Samsung 980. That should be Gen 4. Brand new in a package, never opened it. I think these are Gen 4, aren't they? It's a 980 Pro. Yeah, this is Gen 4. So what I should do is pull out a Cronus and clone the drive out of this one, put it on this one, and then we'll have a super hot dog. Hot Doge. LRCX says, check your email. Okay, I put my phone. Oh, he sent $50 via PayPal. He says, here's for all the help in the past and what I'll need in the near future. Thanks, Carey. Thank you, Larry. Thank you so much. It's very kind of you. Well, I need to broadcast on Sundays more often. Boo Boo says A-data is bad. Really? I've got a lot of A-data, like flash drives I've had for years. I think I have like a 10-year-old A-data drive in here. It won't die. It just keeps working. It's not very fast. It's old, you know. Why is A-data bad? Reviews on Amazon don't agree with you. It might be over at Studio A. Oh, wow, here's an A-data flash drive here. This one's not that old. This is a UV128 model. It's a 16 gig A-data flash drive. I got a bunch of them. I've never seen one go bad. Here's another one, another A-data. This is a UV128 32 gigabyte flash drive. What else? I've used a number of the A-data 2.5-inch SSDs and the A-data XPG like I'm using here. My friend Ron in the chat room, he's got one in his computer, or he used to. No problem with them. What's wrong with A-data? Oh, he had a bad personal experience. Yeah. So, I mean, you could have had a bad personal experience with any brand. It may not have had to do with the brand. For all you know, if you ordered it over the mail, maybe somebody drop-kicked it to your front door. But, I mean, I've probably dealt with at least a dozen, maybe 2 dozen A-data drives. I don't think I've had a bad one. I don't think so. I bought them because they were really inexpensive at that time. They were one of the cheapest. And they weren't the fastest, but they were really good value. And I think they're all still working today. Kevin wants to know if I still have a lot of computers over at Studio A. Define a lot. Andy Kane says, I've got a 13-year-old SanDisk. It's still working today. Oh, yeah, I have a 1 gig SanDisk flash drive over at Studio A that's got to be 17, 18 years old. It's perfect. Mira Ora wants to know, is $80 for a 2 terabyte, 2.5-inch SSD a good price? That's what a Team Group SSD is going for. Yeah, I mean, that's under $50 a terabyte. I'd say that's a really good price. But shop around. Maybe there's better deals. Look at Newegg, look at Amazon, sort by price for 2 terabyte SATA drives. But Team makes pretty good stuff. It's not the best, but it's not bad. And it's very, very aggressively priced. I use a lot of Team branded RAM, and I also have some A-data branded RAM as well. Slappy says he's had a few dropkick deliveries. Mortant says, I'm thinking about building a new computer too. Once you build one, that's it. You're going to want to build another. Yeah, for sure. What were our final numbers? I guess I'm covering it up. Yeah, those are Gen 3 numbers, so that's a Gen 3 drive in there. That makes sense. I wonder why I put that in. What was I thinking? Huh. Must have just been in front of me. Thinking was optional, not required for this build. All right. All right, guys, thank you so much for hanging out with me today. Thank you, Camera Girl, for the close-ups.
You're welcome.
And a shout out and thank you to the contributors during today's show. That includes, we'll start with the Super Chat contributions. Fatal Dragons, Winston Liu, Johnny Johnson, Don Beverly became a member today. Farrells has become a member today, and Paul McIntosh. We have 3 new members today, right on. Scott Hallinan, also thank you for your super chat there from New Zealand. And then, of course, the Amazon gift cards from Mortant and from LRCX, as well as Captain Blinsky with the PayPal contributions. And am I leaving anybody out? I hope not. So I use all that money to buy more parts, to make more videos, and then I have to figure out what I'm going to do with them when I'm done. But we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. We have more giveaways coming up for the little 1-liter PCs, those HP Elite desks. Still have about between 20 and 30 of those to give away. So we'll do that. Monday, I always do a members-only broadcast live, normally at 1 o'clock Arizona, Phoenix time. But I do have an appointment tomorrow, so it'll be later than normal, maybe 3 or 4 o'clock. But hopefully you'll see me then. And then coming up in the week, I've got a couple of new B-Link mini PCs to review. I've got a B-Max mini PC on the way, and 3 Minis Forum mini PCs are on the way. I don't know when they'll be here, hopefully sometime next week. They run the gamut from really inexpensive to portable gaming PC. Like, we're across the range on price. Minis Forum has been running their anniversary sale. Before I wrap it up, let me see if that's still going on, because there was some really good deals. Let me go back over to this computer. Minis Forum. I think they were in their, they've got their 5th anniversary sale going on right now, and up to 50% off. And I wanted to test a NAD 9, and they said they didn't have any available for testing, so I said, I'll buy one. So I went over to shop, and I went over to, let's see, Intel. And many of these may look familiar. I've reviewed a lot of them. This is the NAD 9, and there's already content creators out there that have reviewed this, which makes me want it more. It's just bare bones, $479 is a steal of a price when you consider the way that this is equipped. You're going to have to put your own RAM and your own storage and your own operating system on it. But what you're getting for $479 is a Core i9 12900H 14-core processor with 20 threads with built-in graphics. And it comes with this little stand that you can mount it on if you want to. You don't have to. Obviously, Windows 11 Pro is not pre-installed on the model that's bare bones. You have to provide your own. There's the breakout of it. Supports up to 64 gigs of RAM, 5 gigahertz turbo frequency, 8 efficiency cores and 6 performance cores, all in a super tiny little package. So I am super excited to get my hands on that, and it was a really good deal. So right now, they're running their 5-year anniversary here and put everything on sale. I think everything's on sale. Now, normally I buy through Amazon, but in this case, I've been working with the folks at Minis Forum. I know they're reputable, and I know I'm not going to want to send it back. And so there are a number of products in different price ranges to pick from. I really like the Nook Xi7 that I reviewed in the past. I think I have one of the 560 XTs coming for review. And there's a silver one. Is it this one? What's really cool is you just tap on this lid and it opens and closes. It latches and unlatches like a I don't know, like, you know, on a car, sometimes the fuel filler cap, you push in on it to unlock it and push it in again to lock it. Well, on this type of computer that Minis Forum makes, this whole top lid, you just push on it and it unclicks, and then you can get into your RAM and storage area. No screwdriver necessary. So I'm just really digging the unique designs that Minis Forum is offering. But at the same time, Minis Forum isn't the price leader when it comes to sub $200 mini PCs. That's where we were looking at Ace Magician or Beelink. And Beelink's got their new one, which is basically the Beelink 12, I think is now the S12, or the EQ12, which is just the same computer that preceded it with the next generation Celeron processor. Everything else is more or less the same. And then what else do they have? The GTR 6. I love my GTR 6. That's a little gaming PC. It's around $600, I think, 650. The SEI 12 is a great office computer. The 5105, that's a previous generation Celeron. So yeah, I've got a couple of these to review. I've got those Minis Forums coming in, those mini PCs I'm excited to review. Some are, you know, around the $200 price point or less, and then a couple are around the $500, $600 price point for more power. I cannot get over just how powerful that NAD, NAD9. They also make an NAB, B as in boy. That's the little silver one that I showed you with the lid that pops open. They're supposed to be sending me one of those. So some exciting stuff coming up here for content. But I wanted to make you aware of that sale because I don't know how many days are left over. And I'm not making a commission on it. You know, I'm just telling you about it, that's all. And if you buy one of these mini PCs, I'd love to hear what your thoughts are. What do you like about it? What do you not like about it? And our good friend John Wilson sent a $50 PayPal contribution. He says, use this for whatever you need for the channel. Right on, John Wilson. Thank you so much for your continued generosity, of course. And yeah, that's all going to go towards that cube case, for sure. As soon as I end this, I'm going to go and order that. And then hopefully by the beginning of June, by the middle of June, I should have it. If I get it any sooner, then I'll broadcast it that much sooner. Thanks for all your support. Thanks for your kindness. Thanks for being a part of this amazing community. I will see you all again tomorrow. Probably the members only video will be later than normal, but it will be there. I appreciate your patience, and then more live content all next week as well. Thanks for watching, and bye for now.